All right, we're on Daf Kuf Yod Gimel, and we are going to talk about tying ropes for a bit, and then a very important and interesting halacha about folding clothing on Shabbat. And then we have a beautiful section about honoring Shabbat and preparing for it, and we'll end with a beautiful midrash on Megillat Ruth. Okay, so we start off with the Mishnah, Koshrin deli b'pesikya, avalo b'chevel. Rabbi Yehuda matir. If you have a well or a cistern and you want to put a bucket down to draw up water, then the cord breaks, so you cannot tie a rope to it because that would be a permanent knot. Generally, you leave the bucket on the rope as for long term. So everybody agrees that that would not be allowed. The Tanakama here says that you can use a belt because you're going to need your belt after Shabbat at some point, and so that is only temporary. Okay, and sorry, that's Tanakama. The Yehuda Matir, the Yehuda says that you can even use a rope. Okay, we'll have to see why. Kelal Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Kol Kesher Sheno Shel Kayama and Hayabin Alav. He has general rule, as long as it's not a permanent knot, there's no. Okay, I think everybody agrees with that rule. So we'll have to figure out what is the distinction between Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara immediately asks, what kind of rope? If you're talking about a regular rope, then how could Rabbi Yehuda say it's permitted? I mean, you're tying a regular rope, that's a permanent knot, that's for sure going to be a problem. Rather, it must be talking about a weaver's rope. Weaver, a part of the loom, he has different ropes, and so this would be, I guess, a long and strong usable rope. And the sun Shabbat, and all of a sudden you have a problem, you need to find the rope. That would be convenient to go get it, and that would be allowed according to everybody, even Rabbi Yehuda, because it's definitely going to be temporary. Shabbat is going to go, and he's going to need his rope, and he's going to have to undo the knot. Okay, so if it is a weaver's rope, then why do the rabbis say it's not allowed? The Rabbanan said the even the rabbis would agree that it's a temporary, it's a weaver's rope is temporary, but they make it gezerah. I mean, we're assuming, we don't know exactly why, but we're figuring it out. So perhaps they say, we make a gezerah, that the weaver's rope is not allowed, because then you might come to use a regular rope. They're going to look the same. The Yehuda says, no, we don't make a gezerah. So the Yehuda is more mekel and doesn't make gezerot in this area. Well, is that true? Would it mean who? We have a problem with that, because we have a braita. Chebel deli shenifsak lo yehe koshro ela onvo. Rabbi Yehuda omer korech alav ponda o pesikya. And this baraita, the Tanakama says, if the rope broke, do not tie it again, do not retie it. When you have the rope there, it's just that it broke in the middle. Rather, make a bow. A bow is a temporary knot, so that will be allowed. The Yehuda says, no, you cannot make a bow. Rather, you take something else, a belt or a sash, and tie it around the two ropes, hold them together, but you can't make a bow. And so now this is strange, because the Rabbanan are machmir regarding the type of rope, but the Yehuda is machmir regarding the bow. And so, this looks like a contradiction. Kashya de Yehuda de Yehuda, kashya de Rabbanan de Rabbanan. Yehuda might be self-contradictory if we assume that the reason you can't make a bow is because then you might come to make a knot. So he's making a gezerah regarding the bow, but he's not making a gezerah regarding the type of rope. Whereas the Rabbanan do not make a gezerah regarding the type of knot, because they say you can make a bow, but they do make a gezerah that you can't use the weaver's rope, because then you might come to use a regular rope. So we'll answer that. The rabbis will say that you cannot, that one type of rope is interchangeable and confused with another type of rope, so it's worthy to make a gezerah. Whereas a bow to a regular knot, some goes up, so that's okay. The reason over there is not because that you might confuse a bow with a regular knot, but rather because a bow itself is a permanent knot. and any bows themselves are not allowed. So it's not because of a gezerah, and therefore it's not contradictory. How is a bow permanent knot? We saw way before that it's true. It's that Rabbi Meir said if you can untie it with one hand, then it's not a permanent knot. But we weren't sure, right? Was that because it's untie, right, or because it's loose? And so, assuming that a bow is not loose, it might be easy to untie, but it's not loose. It can stay for a long term. So that would be Yehuda's reasoning. So although each one has a chumrah and a kula, they're not contradictory. They just have different reasonings that led them each to their kula and chumrah regarding the rope or regarding the knot. Okay. Amar Rabbi Abba bar Rav Chaya Amar Rav mevi adam chebed betoch beto bekosho bepara uba evus. So in the name of Rav, they taught a halacha. You can go bring a rope from your house, a rope that you haven't used for any, just a loose rope. And if you want to tie the cow to its trough, then you can use that rope and tie one end to the trough and one end to the cow, and that way it will stay and eat there. That's on Shabbat. We met him already. This is Rabbi Acha the Tall. His official name is Rabbi Acha bar Papa. He asked Rabbi Abba about the statement of Rav. This is the opposite, that you cannot do that. What you can do is you can take, if there is a rope that is already tied to the trough, you can tie it to the cow, or if there's a rope already tied to the cow on a leash, and you can tie it to the trough, and then they'll be together. But you can't bring a loose rope and tie it to both. And so that is what I've said, who said you can go take a rope from your house and do that. So this looks like contradiction. I mean, the reasoning would be that if you take a loose rope and bring it and you tie it to both, then you might leave it on one of them. Maybe you'll leave it on the cow because it's useful, or leave it on the trough and leave it for next time. It might be a permanent knot. And so that's why that would not be allowed. It makes sense. And this would be allowed because it was already tied on one of them. And so you'll just, if it was already tied on the cow, you'll just untie it from the trough later. So this is a real contradiction, and so we resolve it by saying it's talking about two different types of ropes. The one that's more machmir over here in the Braita is talking about a regular rope. But if it's talking about a weaver's rope, then even if it's loose, the one that you bring from your house, that's surely temporary because the weaver is going to want it back. So this is using the same method before to resolve yet another problem. Okay, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shemuel Keli is Kiva'e Mutar Telan b'Shabbat. Okay, weaver's tools. Weaver has lots of different tools and beams and strings and different things that are useful. I mean, there's a general rule that something you can't use on Shabbat, but if you're using it for a ted purpose and you might have had that in mind, then it's okay. Like you can't use a hammer, but if you're using a hammer to open a nut, then you're allowed to use it. So that's an important principle. And so to anything that is part of the weaver's tools. How about the upper and lower beam? This is in and Rav Yehuda said, yeah, no, maybe he wasn't sure about it. Shmuel said this statement, but he has another more elaborate statement. He says you can take any of the tools, even the upper and lower beam. So there you go. We have an answer. Just not the poles, the side poles. They keep it into the ground. Those are solid. Those are dug in. So why not? Why can't you take the beams? Let's say you need them for some reason that's allowed. If it's because you're going to make holes in the floor, well, the holes are being made by themselves. I'm just taking the beam. I don't care that I'm making a hole or making a furrow. It's not. We have a proof that something like that should be allowed from a Mishnah. Tomen lefet usnonot תחת הגפן, אם מקצת עליו מגולין, אינו חושש, לא משום כליים ולא משום שביט, לא משום מעשר, וניטלין בשבת. If I store or hide these different vegetables, turnip, radish, under the ground, and for safekeeping, then it's allowed. I don't have to worry about kilayim if it's next to another species, or shvi'it, not allowed to plant. Like I'm not planting, it's not growing, I'm just storing it. I don't have to worry about Ased, and I can even take it out on Shabbat. So in other words, I can put it in the ground before, store it there. On Shabbat, I said, oh, I need a turnip. I can go and take one out. And even though it's making a hole, doesn't matter. I don't care about that hole. It's not my reason I'm doing it. And okay, they said, so how come over there I can, but the loom, here's an example. You have the vertical poles that are stuck into the ground. And so when I take it out, I'm going to make a hole, even though it's indoors, have a dirt floor, so I'm making a hole. But it shouldn't matter because the hole is not something that's davar she'eno mitkaven. It's not my intent. Besadeh, so we have an answer. Besadeh la'ateh la'shvuyeh gumot, ha'chababayit ateh la'shvuyeh gumot. Right, because in the field, you're not going to fill up the holes. You're just going to leave the hole there. Whereas in the house, if you make a hole, people don't like that in the house. They're going to come and cover it up and make it smooth, and that would be a melacha of building. So that's the difference between indoors and outdoors. Okay, good. Ba'mine Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yehuda b'liva'eh kol kiva'eh kegon kobed halyon v'kobed hatatot b'al Shabbat. A similar question: how all the different tools, parts of a loom, a thing that weavers tools, can you use them on Shabbat if you need them for a heted purpose? Amar le en metaltelin matam lefi she'en nitalin. Right. So he says. Specifically this, the upper and the lower beam, can you take them? He said no, and the reason is because they are not taken all week long, right? These heavy objects, these heavy parts, not all the rest of them, right? The rest of them are okay, but specifically these heavy sections are not moved during the week, and therefore, since they're not moved during the week, they're basically mukseh, they're not used, they're fixed in place, and so you cannot carry them. Okay, so that's the Mishnah about the loom, and now we get to folding on Shabbat. Mekabelin takelin afilu b'arba'a v'chamisha pa'amim matziin et hamitot milei Shabbat la Shabbat, אבל לא בשבת למosei Shabbat. Okay, folding clothes, you can fold the clothes 4 or 5 times, but the point is I'm folding it now because I'm going to wear it again later. I can do it again if I keep changing, I can keep folding. But the point is I'm folding because I want it to be nice and fresh when I wear it again on Shabbat, but not to prepare for after Shabbat. And similarly, I can make the bed from Friday night to Shabbat. In other words, let's say I wake up early Saturday morning and I make the bed. I want to make the bed because I'm going to take a Shabbat afternoon. So I'm making the bed for Shabbat itself, which you cannot do. Shabbat. But if after my afternoon nap, I wake up, I cannot make the bed then to prepare for after Shabbat, because that would be preparing. Okay, Rabbi Yishmael Omer, mekaperin et hakelim, masin tamitot, miyom kippurim laShabbat. Now, since we're talking about preparing, some other cases, Rabbi Yishmael says that you can fold clothing and make the bed from Yom Kippur to Shabbat, if Yom Kippur falls out on Friday. Nowadays, our calendar is set so that Yom Kippur can never fall out on Friday or Sunday, because you don't want to have 2 days back where you can't cook, especially in those days when they didn't have refrigerators. That would be a big problem. But nowadays it can't fall out on Friday or Sunday. But back then, in times of the Mishnah, it did, and it could have, because this went by whenever the witnesses came. And so, if Yom Kippur fell out on Friday, then you're allowed to prepare from Yom Kippur to Shabbat, because Shabbat is higher level of holiness than Yom Kippur. And so you could make the bed from Yom Kippur to Shabbat. And if Yom Kippur is before, you have some extra korbanot. You have the korbanot that still were not totally burnt, so you can burn them, leave them on the mizbeach, and they're going to burn on Shabbat Kirbim beyom haKippurim. Right. If you have Shabbat first and Yom Kippurim after, then you could leave the ones for Shabbat that will be burning into Yom Kippur, because Shabbat is more important. However, not the other way around. If Yom Kippur was on Friday, then you cannot leave the korbanot of Yom Kippur burning on Shabbat. Okay, that's the Tanakama. Rabbi Akiva Omer, lo shel Shabbat kerebin b'Yom Kippurim, lo shel Yom Kippurim kerebin b'Shabbat. Neither one. You cannot prepare for Shabbat to Yom Kippur or for Yom Kippur to Shabbat. In other words, according to Rabbi Akiva, Yom Kippur is the same status as Shabbat. I think that's interesting. What does that mean about his conception of Yom Kippur? This day of being kind of aesthetic and angel-like. So he's promoting Yom Kippur more than his colleagues. All right, that's the Mishnah. אמרי דבר רבי ינאי, לא שנו אלא באדם אחד, אבל בשני בני אדם לא. Now we have a lot of limitations. We just said that you're allowed to fold even 4 or 5 times on Shabbat. You can fold your clothing, right? You can't keep wearing, you're going to wear it later. The Gemara is going to severely limit this halacha and make it basically that you can never fold anything. So they said, you're only fold if you're doing it by yourself, but if you're doing it with 2 people, then not. Well, that's kind of counterintuitive. Usually, if you're doing halacha with 2 people, like carrying a small object, it's okay. But here it's different. Here, when you fold something with 2 people, then you could do it a really good job. You could do it very precise, like you're folding a sheet or something, and the other can stretch it out, the other person folds it. So in other words, you can't do like a real professional job. One person is allowed, not 2 people. And even with 1 person, only if it's new you're allowed, because a new garment doesn't really need to be folded. It doesn't, comes nice and clean and does not going to have creases. But an old one you can't, because an old one is really going to help. You really need to fold it to keep it nice. So you basically can't fold if you really need to fold. If it's very helpful. Even new ones, only white ones you're allowed to fold, because white ones don't show creases so much, but colored ones, where again the folding is necessary, you can't do it. And that's only if you have nothing else to wear, then I need this because I'm going to have to wear it. So then I can do it. But if I have something else, then I have to leave it. I have to leave my garment unfolded. So basically, unless it fulfills all these criteria, which is rare, I have to be doing it by myself, and it has to be new and white, and I have nothing else to use. Basically, otherwise I can't fold. Okay, I can only fold in the case where it's like I need this garment, and the folding isn't so helpful anyway. Okay, so the Gemara did not want us to do much folding. Tana Shabbat Rabban Gamliel lo hayu mekapelim kelei laban shelahen b'nei she'elahen lachalif. In fact, Rabban Gamliel, they were a wealthy family, so they always had extra clothing, a different change, so they would not fold anything white because they could even white, right, which we said is more mekel. Even white things they wouldn't fold because they had something else to use. Amar Rav Huna im yesh lo lachlif yachalif im eno lachlif yeshalshel b'gadav. We're transitioning to a different area, which is preparing for dressing nicely on Shabbat. So if you have an extra change of clothes, so you should have Shabbat regular work clothes, and Shabbat clothes should be fancier to honor the Shabbat. If a person is too poor, he doesn't have an extra set of clothes that's nice for Shabbat, then he should just let his garments hang down. In other words, extend them, and that's it. So during the week, most people would roll up their sleeves and roll up their pants because they're working in the land, and they don't want everything to get dirty. So that shows that they're in work mode. By letting the hems, by pulling down the sleeves, they're showing now they're in luxury, relaxed mode. Okay, so even with the same garment, you can wear it in 2 modes. This is not a good idea because you're pure as haughty. You're not allowed to. People should not walk around with clothing in that way, like, oh, I'm a person of luxury, I don't have to work. It's not. You should never walk around like that. Oh no, it's okay. No, since all week long he dresses properly, like work clothing, so he's only doing it on Shabbat. It shows he's doing it to honor Shabbat, not doing it because he thinks too highly of himself. That's okay. There's a commentary about Yosef wearing ketonet pasim. That doesn't necessarily mean striped with colors, but rather like pasyad, that the cuffs were very long, right? That the cuffs of his shirt went all the way down to the cuffs of his shoes. And so he shows up to the brothers, and the brothers are out there working with the animals, and he comes with a garment that shows, I'm a person of luxury. I don't have to help out. I don't have to work. So that's a nice interpretation of ketonet pasim, right? And it fits with this Gemara that having long sleeves shows as a sign of a luxury, so appropriate for Shabbat, but not for the week. Now we're talking about honoring Shabbat. Now we'll quote the whole pasuk in Yeshaya. That you should honor it by not doing your normal, not going in your normal way. וכיבדתו שלא יהיה מלבושך של שבת כמשפחה של חול. You shouldn't dress on Shabbat the way you dress on the weekday. וכי had רבי יוחנן קרא למענה מכבדותיי. In fact, Rabbi Yochanan, he would say his clothing, this is my honor, right? The clothing brings a person. So it also teaches that you should not walk on Shabbat the way you walk during the week. We'll see what that means. You shouldn't do business. That means your business is not allowed, but holy business is okay. And that's why if you want to donate to tzedakah or calculate tzedakah things or make a shidduch, and you have to bargain and how much the dowry is going to be, all these things are for mitzvot, and so you can do calculations for that, but not for personal business. ודבר דבר שלא יהיה דיבורך של שבת כדיבורך של חול. דיבור אסור, הרהור מותר. And דבר דבר means you shouldn't talk the way on Shabbat the way you speak during the week. Shabbat should be more toned down, more relaxed, and nicer language. You shouldn't talk about business. This is only talking is not allowed. Thinking is not a violation. It's harder to control people's thoughts. So if you think about some business, you didn't violate this, but don't say it out loud. Okay, all these things we understand, except for when it says walking. What does it mean that you're going to walk differently? Right? We understand dress and speech, but אמר רבי הונא אמר רבי אמר רב ואמרי לה אמר רבי אבא אמר רב הונא המלך בשבת הוא פגע באמת המים אם יכול להניח את רגלו ראשונה קודם שיתקן השנייה מותר אם לאו אסור. So talking about this, if you get to a puddle and you got to get over the puddle, if you can take a large step and step over the puddle while your both feet are on the ground, then that's okay. But what you cannot do is jump or skip where you're going to have a moment where both feet are in the air. That is called walking. That is not allowed. That would be a kind of walking that is not allowed on Shabbat. So basically, you can't jump. Okay, this happens a lot. When it rains a lot and the curb has a big pool of water, you got to get over it. So with just one step, it might be hard. You might want to jump. Okay, so no jumping on Shabbat. No or skipping. What should that person do? You tell him he has to go around. Now he's going to actually walk more. You're making him walk more because you're telling him you should relax on Shabbat, but now he has to go all the way around. So that's counterproductive. So should he just walk through it and get wet? Well, then his clothing will get wet, and he might come to wring it out, and then you're going to come and violate something worse. Now, in that case, there's no other way. That is allowed, right? You're stuck. You're allowed to jump over. Okay, don't generally jump, but in the case when you need to, it's okay. Rather, what does it actually mean that you're walking on Shabbat should be different? So, Rabbi Shmuel asked Rabbi Yosef, can I take a large step on Shabbat? So you see from the question how he understood. It means taking large steps. So the answer was, are you even allowed to take large steps on any time during the week? Even during the week, taking large steps, that was always being in a rush, always being anxious. That takes away some of the person's eyesight. But it comes back when the person says kiddush on Friday evening. The idea is that, it's not good to be anxious and rushing all the time, but even if you are during the week, as long as you have Shabbat, and that comes, and then you can relax and be calm on Shabbat. Second Shabbat starts, you already feel better, so then that will restore your eyesight. Okay, so all that is not recommended, but allowed on during the week. But on Shabbat, that's when these taking long strides and walking in a very anxious and fast way, that is not allowed. You should be more relaxed. Okay, good. Rabbi Ishmael, Rabbi Yosef. Okay, another question with the same sages. Can you eat dirt on Shabbat? Why would anybody eat dirt? Seems it has medicinal value for some things. Can you eat dirt anytime, even during the week? No, dirt is harmful to you, so don't eat dirt anytime, not even during the week. Anyone who eats dirt, any from the dirt of Bavel, it's like he's eating his ancestors. In other words, people are buried there, his ancestors are buried there, and the graves may not be marked. And who knows, maybe you're eating some dirt from one of your ancestors buried there. Okay, so therefore don't eat dirt. That's a bit of a strange reason. We'll see. Other people say, so you're eating creepy crawling things that are not kosher, because back in the time of the flood, which seemed to have centered in Bavel, everything kind of went down there. So all these things died, all these animals died that are not kosher, and they're buried there. And now, if you eat some of the dirt, it may be some of the of something that is not kosher. Okay, hold on a second. We'll figure out what this really means. And okay, Amaresh Lakish, Lama Nikra Shema Shin'ar. Why is Bavel called in the name with the name Shin'ar? Because they all were mixed and were deposited there in Bavel. Everything that died in the flood sank down there. But they for sure decomposed. Why are you telling me I can't eat dirt in Bavel because I may be eating something not kosher? It's decomposed. It's just it went back to dirt. What are you talking about? It's not an animal anymore. Okay, this is a very good answer. Amre kevan de malke kazru berabanan. Dahu gabra dachal kargishta v'achal tachaleu kadahu letachate bedibe meat. He said, no, the rabbis actually they made a gezerah because it's not healthy. After all, there was this person who ate some dirt, and then he compressed after, and he punctured his heart and he died. So the real reason you shouldn't eat dirt is because it's not healthy. However, the rabbis wanted to really emphasize and bring home the message, so they formulated it in a way that's even stronger, and they said, if you eat dirt in the then you're going to eat the non-kosher animals that died in the flood. That's not really the case, but the rabbis formulated it in that way for that reason. So the people might eat dirt because they think that it's healthy. Some potions call for some dirt, and maybe this was especially prevalent in that. We have to check. Maybe there's some kind of Persian things. And so if you just say it's not healthy, then they might not listen because someone else said it's healthy. But if you say this is the bodies of your ancestors, or this is not kosher, then they will keep away from it. Okay, so I think that was very instructive. Now, now we get to the midrash on Megillat Ruth. Then Naomi tells Ruth, go and prepare yourself, wash and anoint, and put on nice clothing. So this relates to what we said before about putting on nice clothing. So Ruth went and wore her Shabbat clothing to look nice for Boaz. Now we have a nice midrash on this pasuk. If you give something to a wise person, they'll become wiser. Another wise person takes what you give them and they build on it to even greater insight. And this applies, applies to these two biblical figures. How do we see that? Naomi told her, go and wash and prepare and anoint and get dressed, and then to the threshing floor where Boaz is. Ruth flipped the order. First, she went down to the threshing floor, and then she did everything that Ruth said. In other words, she carried her high heels and her makeup and everything down to the threshing floor in a bag, and then she prepared herself and got dressed while she was there. Why? It had a sense of modesty. If she all decked out, and she's walking there. People are going to see her walking there, and she's all dressed up and think it's strange and be suspicious. And so she goes there with normal dress and prepares on the spot. So Naomi gave her good advice, and Ruth even upped it and made it better. Shemuel this is when Shemuel was sleeping in the Mishkan area, and Hashem was coming to him, and Shemuel thought it was his father. Shemuel thought it was Eli calling. And Eli goes and says after the third time, no, God is calling you. Go lie down, and if you hear the voice again, it's not me. Rather say, Daber Hashem. Hashem, speak to me. Your servant is listening. And so when it actually happened, Hashem, Shemuel, Daber, Abdecha. Daber Hashem. So when it actually happened, Shemuel just said, speak, because your servant is listening. And he left out the word Hashem. In other words, he didn't feel it's appropriate to be so presumptuous that God is speaking to him. He was, after all, not unsure the first couple of times. And so he just said, speak. And that was a more modest way of approaching God. Okay, now since we're talking about Ruth, some more insights. Right, so she kept going and coming to the field, that she would go and come to find people to go with, that you're affected by your company, you want to be around good people. And so she found a band of people that weren't so great. She would come back again and go to another area where good people could be found. That's a good lesson. Boaz asks, who is this maiden? Is this Boaz? Is he all day long? He looks around and he's checking out the women that are coming. It's not befitting of him. No, he doesn't check out every woman, but rather he saw that she had great wisdom, and she knew halacha, and she knew that if there's only two stalks that fell, then you could take them, but three, that's not good, then she would leave them on the ground. And so he noticed her proper behavior, and noticed that she was wise, and that's why he asked about her. We also saw that she was modest, that she collecting stalks that were upright, she would collect them standing. But if those that were fallen, she wouldn't bend down, that would be immodest, but rather she would sit down and take them. And that's what drew his attention. And he says, hang out here with my people, with my maidens. He's saying, hang out here with my maidens. He's saying, let's have a long-term relationship. Let's cling to my area here. So is that normally? So since he found out that she had left her family and came with Ruth and embraced Judaism, I saw this is a woman who is permitted to cling to, permitted to marry. Okay. So this is a good thing. That what people who are single, right, should look out and check out to see who is modest, who is wise. I know a couple. I said had they meet, and he said I saw her in the Beit Knesset, and she had a lot of kavanah, so I made sure to go ask her out. And they're married friends of mine, right, who are married. So right, these are good qualities to check out in your future spouse. Okay, good. So Boaz says, come here, right, during the meal, come and eat. תכתיב בחלום שמא יבוא מלך ודוד וישב לפני השם ויאמר מי אנוכי השם אלוקים ומי ביתי כי יביאותני עד חלום. Okay, we're going to read the whole story now, this section of the story of Boaz and Ruth, as being a foreshadowing of future events, since they are the ancestors of David HaMelech. So when it says the word halom, says come here says, oh, this is a hint that in the future the house of David will come from him, because when Natan Navi is tells David, oh, you're going to be a king, and your descendants are going to be kings. He says, the king David says, who am I and who is my house that God that you have brought me here? In other words, to this place of success. This is the word halom here and the word halom there. So these are parallel, and so already back then, this is a hint that there would be have a future dynasty. The tabalt pitech bahometz, and Boaz says, come and dip your bread in the vinegar. This teaches that vinegar is good to have in hot weather. Okay, nothing as profound as the future of the nation. Just as a good idea to have vinegar. Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani Amar Remez Ramaz La Atid ben Asit Mimech Shema'asav Kashin Kahomes Umano Menashe. Oh, we have another one that is really about something in the future, that this vinegar represents one of your future descendants who's going to be as sharp as vinegar, and that is King Menashe. Bateshev Misad, one of the evil kings. So she comes and sits next to the other harvesters. So how come next to and not in the middle of them? It's like she's sitting on the side. And this is a foreshadowing of the division of the empire. So it's not always going to be in the center. Jerusalem and King David will not be in the center, but rather will be on the edge. Once the northern kingdom splits off, then Jerusalem is on the edge of their territory, and so that's what that represents. Okay. And she had roasted grain, and she ate. And then it says in the next part of the pasuk that she was full. Okay, so her eating and having a good meal and being full and satisfied, that represents the future material success of the Davidic dynasty. David to Shlomo down to Chizkiah. There were even leftovers. Another way of saying it is she ate, that's the wealth during David Shlomo. That's very interesting. Nasi was claimed to be a descendant from the dynasty of David, and he was very wealthy and very successful, and so that is the third thing. Brings us down to the B. The Amar Mor Ahur Yareh, even the stable boy of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was richer than the king of Persia. Right? Fantastic. He just gets the leftovers, the manure, things that even just the garbage of the bee was greater than the king of Persia. Okay. במתניתה תנה ותאכל בעולם הזה ותצפה למות המשיח ותותר לעתיד לבוא. Yeah, the last baraita, and with this, it says eating means in this world, vatispa, that she ate, she was satisfied. That's in the time of Mashiach. Vatotar la'atid labo. In other words, because of Ruth's righteousness and modesty and devotion, she was able to enjoy the benefits not only in her lifetime, but also for the long-term future as well. Baruch Adonai L'olam. Amen ve'amen.